All right, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good, hopefully. Yeah, lots of thumbs up. It might be Tuesday, but it still feels a little bit like Monday. So thanks for joining me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, but I will say if you have any questions during our presentation today, you can shout them out, you can post them in the chat. It is a smaller group today, so we can keep this relatively informal. I also want to let you know we are recording this. I will send the recording to you once we finish, and then I'm also going to put it on our website, so that will be available for others as well. And okay, so I will start, of course, introduce myself. My name is Kelsey Ellis. I think I have met many of you, but if not, I am the newest team member at ZAP, and I am the Impact Program Manager. So I've been here just over a year and really happy and excited to actually be celebrating like our 1-year anniversary of the Impact Program. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get started on some slides, some information today. All right, does everybody see that? Or if you cannot see anything, go ahead and shout out to me. Okay, so before we actually dig into our content, I am going to WebEx, everyone, my least favorite platform. Okay, so I do want to let you know we have this event that's coming up. So this is our annual open house, but this year we're actually combining our open house with a grant writing panel. So the event will be on Thursday, February 6th. It's 2:30 to 5, but it is an open house. You can come at any point during that time. I will let you know that our panel discussion is scheduled from 3 to 4. So if you're interested in coming to chat with, Susan at the Salt Lake City Arts Council, Lynette, she is with our ZAP Tier 1 board, or Stephanie, who is the new grants manager at the Utah Division of Arts and Museums. They will be presenting a little bit on their application. Again, some tips and tricks from them from 3 to 4. Right after that, we're doing an activity, a networking activity with JoyMop. But if you don't want to do any of those things, and you just want to come and chat with our ZAP team, we'll be here that whole time. If you are interested in attending, it's great if you can RSVP. So just go to our website and you can click on the RSVP link. I'll include that in the chat as well, just to let us know you're coming. Okay. Excuse me. So our goal today is to really use this time to better understand the collaborative program. So we're going to do that by just looking at the impact program, a few details of the collaborative program. I'm going to walk you through the interest form just so you can see what's on there. We'll look at the timeline for this program, and then there will be plenty of time for questions at the end. But as I mentioned, if you have questions in the middle, just shout out to me. Okay, so our impact program is celebrating our 1-year anniversary here in January. We launched this program as a support to the grant writing side of us, so it's a capacity building program. We really want to support our grantees through various efforts that include, under the impact program, this collaborative program, workshops that are both in-person and virtual, as well as a local arts agency program. Okay, so the collaborative program specifically does this capacity building through a cohort style of learning. So it is specifically geared towards our Tier 2 grantees, current Tier 2 grantees. And in 2024, we did one session, and that one session was over 6 months with 10 organizations. And it also covered various topics. So this year for 2025, to kind of expand our offerings, we're doing 3 different sessions. We're still targeting that size of about 10 to 15 organizations in each of those cohorts. But this time we're just going to do our cohorts on one single topic. Those topics are determined by interest form responses, and we'll look at that a little bit more in the interest form. But the one piece of the format that we're going to keep the same is that we meet monthly for 2 hours each month. but this time it's over the course of 3 months. So again, this time we're just covering one topic. We're doing 3 different cohorts over 3 months. Now the sessions right now are kind of tentatively planned to be, the first session would be March, April, May. The second would be April, May, June. And then our last one will be August, September, October. So the dates and times of those will be really determined by our participants and who gets selected to be a part of this program. Oh, and then I missed one more thing, those one-on-one sessions with the trainers. This is just kind of an added piece to be aware of, that you set up time if you're selected to participate. In addition to meeting in person with your cohort for 2 hours each month, you're also going to get some time just for one-on-one time with that trainer. So that will be, if we leave the session and I really want to talk to our trainer about reviewing our plan that we have coming up, you're going to get some one-on-one time with them. And all of that will just be part of the program. Okay, so as we look at this, I suspect that there are some of you saying, that is missing a lot of specifics. How do I know if I want to participate if I don't know what the topics are or what the dates are? But that's what's a little different about our collaborative program and what ZAP is doing, is there are a lot of phenomenal programs out there that give you, here's what this type of training is going to be. You come for the session and that's what you're going to get. But we want our grantees and our participants of this program to lead and co-create this program. So based on your responses in the interest form, that's how we craft the program. So I like to think of it as whoever's interested in this program is throwing all the puzzle pieces at me, and then it's my job to put those pieces together to form 3 different cohorts and to make sure that each of these training sessions are addressing your specific needs. So just think about it that way. So you're going to tell me what it is that you want, and I'm going to try to put the program together around your needs. Another piece of this that I feel like is maybe a little different than something else that you can find out there, all those other amazing training programs and capacity building programs, is that we'll be working directly with our colleagues and peers from the ZAP community, right? And actually, we've had a pretty consistent grantee community for many, many, many years, right? So how wonderful is it if we can get in the room together, and instead of just having our shared trauma stories, we can have shared resources, and we can say, I put on this festival and everybody in the room, we all put on some kind of a public festival, and I worked with vendor A, B, and C. I had a great experience with vendor A. And maybe vendor B, I had some tricky experiences with them. Well, how wonderful is it to learn those challenges and maybe avoid some of those speed bumps from some of our colleagues and cohorts who have already been there and done that. So anyways, that's kind of the general lay of the collaborative program. So I'm going to go on and talk a little bit about our selection process for who gets to participate. So the selection committee is comprised of a few of our ZAP staff members. We have some members from the Arts and Culture Division here at the county who will participate in selection, as well as a ZAP board member from our Tier 2 advisory board. They will be looking at organizations that have received ZAP funding for the last 3 years. And I will say that while we will prioritize that, if you do not meet that criteria, you'll still be considered. We're also looking at organizations according to our pool of grantees that are about this medium size. So it's very loosely defined as organizations with your budget size, annual budget size of about 75,000 to 500,000, as well as organizations that have at least 1 paid staff. Ideally, I would say that's W-2 full-time or part-time, but 1099 employees or contractors rather would also kind of be considered a paid staff person. And those are just to ensure that when we get our group or organizations together in the same room, we're all at about the same starting point, right? We're all kind of in the same life cycle. And then again, pretty obvious here that we're grouping organizations that have expressed the same or similar needs for capacity building support as indicated in that interest form. So if your organization falls outside any of these areas that we're going to prioritize, that's totally fine. I would still encourage you to submit an interest form. And then we'll talk a little bit more about what we might be looking at. So let me show you. Okay, we're going to look at the interest form next. Okay, so our interest form will take you all of about a minute and a half to complete. This is probably the easiest form that you'll ever complete for a grant or a granting agency. But that really is the intention, is to make this as approachable and simple as possible. So the first section I have here is just contact information. What I will say about contact information is that this just needs to be my point of contact for this part of the process, somebody that's going to answer my emails or phone calls. Now, knowing that if your organization is looking for some capacity building support in marketing and communications, or maybe board development, you might have different staff members attend those training sessions, right? You might have your board chair come to a board management training session, or if you have somebody that does your communications, they would do the other one. So just know we can definitely modify whoever this contact person is for the collaborative program after you are selected. But just for now, this is just the person who's going to answer my emails. Okay, so questions 6 and 7 are your annual budget, and if you have any of those W-2 employees. I'm not going to cross-check this. This is not going to be graded in any way. This is just so I have information all in one place. Our selection committee will have your most recently submitted application as a reference, but we're really not going to use that a lot during this process. And also this form, or any participation you have in this form, will not have any effect on your application review process. So they're very separate. The board won't have any access to this on the other side of this. Okay, so this is really where you're going to tell us what you're interested in getting some support, which areas you're interested in getting some support. I would like you to select at least one, and you can select up to 3. So what you'll do here is, these are very broad areas of training sessions that we have. So these are your big umbrellas. You'll pick the one that not only is your most relevant to your current needs, but I would say the one that you feel is the most likely to be applied or implemented after the training. So that's, of course, just according to your assessment of where your organization is. But for example, if you want to do marketing and communications, but that staff position is currently vacant, maybe don't pick that one as your top priority, because you might not be able to implement some of that stuff. So that's just for you to kind of consider. But whichever one you pick, so if you pick, say, our board management, you're just going to give me a sentence or two on really what that means to you. So you might actually have great board policies in place, but you're struggling for recruitment or retention. So you just want to give me a sentence or two on what that specific area you're looking for some support. And maybe it's just general, say, hey, we need all the board help we can get. That's totally fine as well. Now, I know, being in the nonprofit world, we're all very passionate about our work and we like to talk a lot about it. But here you're going to be very succinct. You're just going to give me, again, a few sentences, and know that if you're selected to participate, I will have a one-on-one, essentially like a site visit with your organization, where you can talk at length as to what this means. So for here, we're just going to be succinct, but know you have more opportunity to expand on that later. So I've only required a response for the first one, but like I said, you can pick your second area of need, maybe your second most relevant, and then a brief description, and your third most relevant. Okay, so on this next section, availability here, I know, is highly dependent on specific dates. But this to me is just to give me a general idea of when you prefer to meet. So if working on this nonprofit is actually not your full-time day job, you might want to tell me that you have a preference for meeting in the evenings, or maybe Saturday morning coffees. That's totally fine. So I would say just do this to the best of your ability right now. It does require that all 6 of these fields get completed with I prefer, can make it work, can't attend, or not sure at this time. I get it. If you want to say, I'm not sure at this time for all of them, that's totally fine. Again, it's just a way to kind of give me a general idea of when you prefer to meet. Now, if this very short form left you wanting to tell me more, question 16 and 17 is just tell me everything else that I may have missed in this form, any specifics about some of this work. You could say that, you know, I mentioned that we have some work we want to do on this board management, and we have a new board chair that's coming in, but they probably won't start until later in the year. So you mentioned those spring sessions. We would probably prefer to participate in the August, September, October session, just because we're still working on that transition. So anything like that that would be relevant or helpful for me, go ahead and just plug that in there. Or if you don't have anything else right now, that's fine as well. Okay, super simple form.
How can I help you?
Sorry, go right ahead. Did somebody ask a question?
Is not here.
Okay, I have a few more slides to share just on some dates. And then if you have questions, you can shout them out at me. Okay. So on our dates here, our deadline for the interest form, February 7th, that's a Friday. Hopefully or not hopefully, by 5 p.m. But I was going to say, hopefully if you have any questions, maybe before Friday, February 7th would be wonderful for you to reach out to me. I'll add my contact information in the chat here in a minute if you have any additional questions that come up while you're working on that. Early February, we're going to have our selection committee meet. And then really by the middle to end of February, we'll send out selection notifications. And then following that, it could be as early as the end of February, but probably through March, I will be doing those site visits I mentioned. So as I send out selection notifications, I will say, let's find an hour. I'll come to you and we'll just chat a little bit more about what your needs are, what your availability is, things like that. Okay, so finally, the last thing I have here is I can tell you about how much I love this program all day, but that's my job, is to love this program and to do this. So here are a few quotes and pieces of feedback that I have received from our previous impact program and collaborative program participants. They really felt like it was a great experience and they were able to apply a lot of the work that they learned to their daily work. And one of the things that was just really great to see is that we had several different cohort members that because of a relationship and a connection they made during those meetings, they actually were able to expand some of their program offerings. So they took some of their program presentations and were able to do that at somebody else's event. So it was great to see that that just kind of organically happens when you make connections and find opportunities among one another in this community. And so some great quotes, people were super helpful. I did not twist their arm to say these things. They were completely anonymous. And it's just really exciting to see we have excitement around doing capacity building programming. Okay, super short and sweet. Let me make sure that this is all done. Okay, so the rest of the time I have is up to you for questions. I'm going to drop just a few things in the chat if you need to think about questions for a moment. If you have them, go ahead and shout out.
So I had a question. When you said that there were 3 different time periods, there was March and April, or March through May, and then June, and then later in the fall, is that one time that we'd each be doing that? Would we be meeting all 3 of those sessions or in just one of them?
So session 1, we're going to work to have those meetings happen in March, April, and May. So that would be the first cohort is those 3 months. The second session would be April, May, June. And then the final one would be August, September, October. So those 3 months are the one session on the one topic with about 10 cohort members. Does that make sense? Or is that
Okay, so we
clarify a
would be
little bit more?
going to one session per each grouping of that time period.
No, all 3 of those. So
No.
they're consecutive. Yes, so they're consecutive. March, April, and May would be, you'd do all 3 of those months.
Okay. Okay, got it.
But you don't have a choice, it sounds like it's based on your group content.
You know, if you have a preference, though, that's where the opportunity in that form is. Say, absolutely not March, April, May. We have a big event. We can't do it then. That's fine. But if those are just the dates that are mostly available on the ZAP calendar, so we're going to try to make it work. If we have to move things around, that's fine. But yes, you just pick one. And I will say also, though, that you could be selected for more than one cohort. This year, I suspect we would probably still just do one cohort per organization, but it would be possible to do more than one.
Cool. Can you share an example of what, obviously you guys have crafted this collaboration impact process for a reason. Can you share some examples of how you see that, like the types of entities and organizations that you're thinking would be good fits for this?
Yeah, so we were trying to capture some of that in this medium-sized organization. So this is an organization that's ready for kind of that next organizational development or growth step. But since all organizations have strengths and challenges in different areas, that's where we'd be like, you know, we feel like we have our programming dialed in, but we're having a really hard time with the volunteer part of this program. So that's where we need the support. So I would say it is kind of that small to medium sized organization that we're looking to support, who's really just looking to take that next step. I don't really want to put a lot of parameters around what that is or who that could be, because it really is a program that's for our grantee community, and you can tell me what that means to you.
Nice. So yeah, I get it. You don't want to kind of pigeonhole it or whatever. I mean, you want to make it open for whatever seems to be the need out there, right? That's kind of so it's pretty flexible. It sounds like that's nice.
Yeah. And that's not to say that we don't also note that we have larger organizations that could use that support, or very small organizations. And we could possibly even craft a cohort specifically around that. And that's the other reason why we're just going to keep it kind of loose, because if that opportunity comes in, I think we would love to do that. So
Beautiful. So would it be possible you put your contact information here? I really appreciate that. And for me and my wife to get old, she has she does a community ballet once a year with Nutcracker. So it'd be nice to kind of visit with you and talk a little more detail about some specifics and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. You can shoot me an email, give me a call. We'll set up a time and we'll chat a little bit more. Yeah.
Sounds
Love
great.
it.
Thank you.
Kelsey, I just want to understand the cohorts and how they work. Is it twofold where we're brainstorming with each other and also there's somebody external that is leading and training? Or are the ideas really just, and the training coming from within these organizations that are part of the cohort?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So what we'll do is, based on the interest form, let's say we find 10 organizations who say, we're really looking to invest in our volunteer program right now, our volunteer management program. I have a pool of consultants and trainers who will come in to understand what that means to those organizations. They will lead the trainings. A lot of it's going to be foundational work, but then also some specifics. So we had this last round, our marketing and communications, we spent a day on a lot of social media tactics. So the first session was identifying your audience and just kind of best practices. And then we listened to what everybody really wanted to talk about next time that would be helpful. And then we did it on specifically what they said. So you're going to give us the big picture area. And then when I talk with you, I'm going to tighten it up a little bit more. And then our trainers and our consultants are going to take that, craft their training around those needs. And then you will also have that additional one-on-one consulting time if you want to dig even deeper. So we're trying to come down as tight as we can. Does that make sense? Or does that answer your question, April?
Yeah, that does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. I will also stay on here for another minute if anybody else comes up with another question. Like I said, I have this has been recorded. I'm going to put it on our website and share this out. I would encourage you also to share it with other people in your organization, or if you have colleagues and other partners that you work with that might be interested in this, go ahead and share that with them as well. As I said, my contact information is here. Happy to chat with you in more detail, answer any questions you have about this process or program. And yeah, thank you very much for coming today. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your questions. And I really hope you submit on our interest form. I'm excited about this year's program. So thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You could